First off, we're going to welcome everybody to Real Talk with a Realtor and a Mortgage Guy. This is my main man, Corey Smith, with CMG Financials. Financials, I got to put an S on that. Financials.
Financials.
He is the go-to guy when it comes to anything mortgage, anything real estate related, credit, finances, all that fun stuff. You know what I mean? Look, am I boosting a little bit for you over there?
Oh no, you're right on target. There you go. Hey, look, I think you might be forgetting personal finance guy, you know what I'm saying, as we go through this process.
I knew there was one or two things that I was missing in there, but I'm glad you could clarify that for me.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
I got a couple things I want to talk about today. Okay. I got a tale of two stories, right?
Yep. And we got plenty of those in the States. Plenty of stories in the States.
And it's interesting that it happened literally within 24 hours. I mean, tale of two complete opposite stories. And I want to talk about it in reference to Black History Month. So first off, welcome to Black History Month. There, I know you're an African American male, myself. You know what I mean? This is unfortunately, we have to point out a month like this, and it can't just be a part of just history. Like, we can't just say history. You know what I mean? We gotta say Black History Month.
There you go. There you go. Give us all that. Don't shortchange us now. You said.
You know what I'm saying?
Not just history, Black History Month.
Black History Month. Interestingly enough, I think I'll be excited on the day when it is just history. And we just telling the truth about history as a whole, and kind of giving the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Because that's the only way you can understand it anyway. Look, we're on a real estate show, but we're gonna talk everything in here. Because like I said, I got a lot of stuff to talk about.
You can't be in February and not bring up Black History Month. We just gotta talk about it.
Which brings me to a question I want to ask you that's not real estate related, but it came up the other day when I was reading an article about, have you heard about this Utah school, this school that could opt out of the Black history curriculum, where they had parents that could opt out?
I saw the article. I didn't go deeper into it, but I did see an article headline about it.
I mean,
but look where it's at, though.
I mean,
look where it's located at.
I read the article. I read a couple other articles about it, because thank God they've rescinded it since then. You know what I mean? This is a public funded school. Even though it's a charter school, it's a public funded school. And the makeup of that particular school is like less than 1% is African American. It's like out of the 300 and some odd students, it's like 3 or 4 students that are Black in that whole school specifically. But
charter school?
Yeah, well,
it's a charter school with numbers like that. I mean, where is the school located?
I think they said it was like 15 miles outside of Salt Lake City or something like that.
Okay, gotta be okay.
Look,
gotta be outskirts.
Look, I'm just reciting what they put.
You just a messenger.
I'm just a messenger. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's interesting that and I think it's interesting that how things are so different in different states and cities. You know what I mean? And how we see makeup of a particular school student body. Like, does that really make a difference whether or not we should teach Black History Month? You know what I mean?
It shouldn't, but in the mindset of some, it's one of those things where it could, because of what appears to be the number of the school. But I'm saying it shouldn't just be. I mean, it should just and to go back to your point, you know what I'm saying, it should just be history. It shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying, a classification to it. It's almost like as if it's history because it happened. It happened, you know what I'm saying, but it has a little asterisk on it. So it's not incorporated as it should be. But we're steadily making strides. Making strides. Eventually we'll get there. Eventually.
We'll get there. Look, and I didn't mean to go all off topic, but you know me, the stuff just hit me, and I just be like, you know what, let me talk to my main man about this.
Yeah, let's throw this in the conversation.
What his thoughts is, you know.
Yeah.
But you see my boy won the Super Bowl last Sunday there, you know.
I saw that. I ain't lie, I was rooting for Mahomes. So I wanted Mahomes to win that thing. But it was good to see TV get another one with a different team to show that he could do it without Belichick.
Yeah. You know, that's kind of what I thought about too, which kind of brings me to this other little topic that, you know, I know we supposed to be talking real estate, but, you know, people want to hear the other stuff too.
But real quick, since you brought this thing up, man, you know what I'm saying, what I wanted to see and hear is, where is Jameis Winston? I want to know what is his mindset right now, because you know what I'm saying, you got a man that took a team that you was on that couldn't even make playoffs. And this man that took the team to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. What is your thoughts?
Oh, look.
That's what I want to know.
Oh, and take it to another level. They ain't have practices because of the pandemic. So think about that. His practices was really the first few weeks of the season.
See, that's crazy.
And he still came in and took the team to the Super Bowl and won.
Super Bowl. Man, look, somebody right now, if y'all watching this, find a camera and find Jameis Winston and stick it in front of him, and I need to know what his reaction is. I need to know where his mindset is right now.
Man, look, yeah. I don't even know what to say about your boy Jameis Winston. You know what I mean? I can just imagine in his mind that he thinking, man, I could have stayed and been the backup. We had me a Super Bowl ring.
Hey, I can guarantee you, I'm saying, what's probably in his head is a whole bunch of excuses about why TV did it and he couldn't. Man, it ain't the same team. He had Grunt.
Oh man,
come on, man, what that got to do with anything?
Yeah, man. But
anyway, we digress. We can go.
You done put me back on it, so now I got another. They trying to say that they might repeat next year. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, you know what I'm saying, Mahomes is gonna have this turf toe surgery. I think they're gonna go back in the lab and try to get a better running back so that they can have a better running game to open up their passing game. And they're gonna have something for them next year, because I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be the same Super Bowl next year.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I don't see another team that's really standing out.
Nah, ain't nobody really touching it.
You know,
unless some team makes some hell of an off-season moves. But
well, there's a move happening in Philly right now. They're about to move that quarterback.
Hey, well, the question is, you know what I'm saying, have they decided what kind of moves they're gonna make in New England?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, Cam was a train wreck this season.
Man. And then the question is, you know, and I hate to become the media people, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But if Belichick don't get to the playoffs next year, does that mean that he really wasn't as good as we think he is?
No. I don't think that. I think Belichick is always gonna be one of the great ones.
Oh, I'm with you. I mean, I'm with you. But you know they're gonna ask that question. You know they're gonna have
respect. He gonna have respect, but you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be a lot more conversation of that Belichick needed TB more than TB needed Belichick.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the conversation.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be interesting. You know, it's funny to even think that the football season over with. Like it seems like we kind of been going at it for so long. It's like done with. We on to basketball, I guess. And
on
basketball and baseball around the corner. You know.
Yeah.
And I ain't forgetting about the hockey fans out there. I know that's going on too.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
just don't watch it as much.
Beach volleyball ought to be around the corner. And we doing it all sports.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna have to see how that look. We're gonna have to see how that go as we go the way this pandemic thing go. You know what
Yep.
I mean? But
Absolutely.
I guess let me get back to my stories, my real estate stories, which
Yeah.
you know, and I'm gonna change a couple of facts just so that you know it's you know nobody know who it is, right?
Right.
So I had this client that came in, called me up, said, "Hey Walter, I want to buy a house." I said, "Great." We had a nice hour-long conversation, 45 minutes to an hour. You know, just kind of, you know, because I try and have a consult with them because we're not face to face as we used to be, right? So I really try to see where they at, what is it that we need to do, really gauge before I hand them off, right? So the conversation went on, and they were like, you know, hey, I got a stack of money coming in, okay? And the way they told me was, it made it seem like it was like, you know, a stack, like legal litigation type money, like
lawsuit settlement money type.
you know, we talking, you know, 100,000, 50,000, you know, like a stack,
right?
Because I asked them, I said, hey, are you thinking about financing, getting a loan, a mortgage loan, or are you thinking about, are you gonna have enough to pay cash? And they led me on to believe that, you know, mortgaging would be an option, but that really was, you know, that what was the best route for them, right? Which again leads me to believe that this is like litigation.
It's truly an option.
It's truly an option.
Yeah.
You know, and so I continue to talk with them and give them the pros and cons, and they start to, you know, as we get into the conversation, we're about 40 minutes into the conversation. And I start asking some of those digging questions that I like to call it, when you kind of go a little deeper into it. Like, tell me a little bit more about your credit. Tell me a little bit more about what you pay on a day-to-day basis, month to month, so on and so forth. And they came out and they said, well, I just had to help my family member get a car. Okay. And so
that's when you start to sink down in your seat like this, and then by the end of the conversation, Walt, you be like, "Oh my God." That's where it gets started.
Well, this is what was interesting to me about it, right? People do that. You know, people got more than one car on their credit, but they didn't bat an eye. They didn't at that point in time, they didn't tell me what type of car it was. You know, I had to ask. They didn't tell me the circumstances behind it. And I said, okay, so you got a car. I said, well, do you got a car? It was like, well, no, I don't drive. I don't really got a car that I use that I pay a note on. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I mean, you probably think the same thing. Okay, that means you got one note, right? You got one car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then the other thing in my mind is, why you co-sign for somebody else to have a car and you ain't got no car?
Yes.
What's up? Say that's side note. But anyway,
that's all. Yes, I'm there with you on that. But again, I'm still thinking in my mind, you got a chunk of change coming from this litigation that you basically done told me you got coming down, or gave the impression of.
Yep.
And okay, you just told me it was an option, whether you finance it or not. So really, I'm just asking these questions to see what's going to be the best case scenario for you. Okay?
Right.
So I dig a little bit further. She explains to me how, you know, her family member, she had considered buying a house with her family member, but they didn't want to together. I said, okay. But you know what happened right there when she started to say that? the flag went up. Okay. The
Uh-huh.
flag went up and said, okay, why would you need to buy a house with a family member anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
You know what? Like I said, it wasn't a good or bad flag. It was just a flag. It just said,
Right.
okay, that's making me want to ask another question, some other questions, right?
Right.
So we go into it, and I say, well, do you work? Yeah, I work. I've been working on my job for some time. I said, at least 2 years? Yeah, at least 2 years. As you know, that's a mortgage question, right? Because you got to
Uh-huh.
be on the job for 2 years. And like
Absolutely.
I said, I'm not trying to all the way pre-approve them or anything. I'm just trying to kind of pre-qualify them so that when I hand them, or
Right.
I know they're capable, or at
Hey,
least
right.
pretty close.
Right.
So fast forward, we get to the end of the conversation. Now she didn't explain to me the type of house she want, how big she wanted to be, how many rooms. She tells me that she has some kids she's adopted. Okay, multiple kids she's adopted. And she was telling me from a business standpoint, because the way the conversation originally started is she wanted to buy a house to help host people, basically, and rent out the rooms, kind of.
Right.
Again, which makes me think, okay, if you got a chunk of money coming, that makes sense. I know people that
Right.
buy houses and do stuff like that, rent them out and stuff like that. Again, just not preconceiving anything, just kind of going with what they're saying.
Uh-huh.
So my question to you is this. I told you this whole story because of course I sent them to you, and you can tell the
Yep.
back end of the story if you want, because I think the
Uh-huh.
people need to understand this story, right?
Yep.
Is
Uh-huh.
I had the impression, without pulling their credit or any information on paper, just
Uh-huh.
from our conversation, that okay, this could be a possible candidate to get a loan based off of what they've told me. Okay.
Right.
So then I sent them to you. And what happened?
So when you sent them to me, it was the obvious conversation of, well, let's just talk about your credit here real quick. What's your credit score? So she started talking about her credit score was a 500 or so or something like that. Okay, well, cool. Well, let's try to figure this thing out as far as what else is going on with your financial snapshot, your financial picture. So then she proceeds to tell me that she just literally co-signed on a car for her family member. Now, let me just stop right there. The thing that burns me up is, why would you make a house buying process the afterthought after you've already went ahead and got a new car or screwed yourself by essentially co-signing for somebody else?
Yes.
Why not try to buy the house first, then worry about the car secondary, right?
Yes.
Most people that come, they do the very opposite. Let me go get this car note here that absolutely kills my debt to income ratio. Then let me go get a house and see if I can afford the type of house that I actually want. Well, no, you can't afford the house you actually want, because you went from not having a car note to now you got this $600-700 car note on a car that you really don't need anyway.
Yes. Yes.
But that kind of is what it kind of is what it is. So anyway, so we start talking about this whole thing or whatever, about just digging in a little bit deeper into her financial situation. And so we start talking about how much she actually makes. Now, we can't necessarily help some people, you know what I'm saying, and just, their job experience. They can just make what they make.
Yeah.
But if you go co-sign for a car where the note is half of what you make per month on your job, I just don't necessarily understand in your thought process, why do you think you're going to be able to purchase a home, right?
Yes.
So then you go to the process of, now you've taken on more liability, which you've now taken on some, you've adopted some kids, right? Which that's fine. You go ahead and you adopt the kids. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm not talking bad about people that want to adopt kids, whatever the case may be. But now you're getting money from adopting these kids, and you don't necessarily know where you're getting the money from. So, and if I don't know where you're getting the money from, because you don't know where you're getting the money from, how am I supposed to help you to be able to know if you can qualify for a house or not? So it was a web of a whole bunch of different stories, and it was like every question there was something else to be like, why? Why are you digging yourself into a hole? And then the other thing is digging yourself in a hole for a family member.
Yes.
A family member that messed up their situation. And if they don't care about their own situation, why would you sign on to tag along for the messed up ride? Essentially is what it is.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and the concern for me that I always say is, if they couldn't take care of it, if the person you signing a car note for isn't in the position to get it on their own, why would you risk your credit? Because if they can't get it on their own, that means they're not gonna all of a sudden become great at credit and paying stuff off, right?
And the other thing is that your credit is not necessarily great by itself. So you're not necessarily going to help their situation at all, because at the end of the day, they may approve y'all, but y'all still gonna have a 23% interest rate or something crazy. It's just like, well, why? If that's the case, then they need to, until they get their stuff together, they need to go rent a car or something, or do something else. Because at that point, it's okay for you to be a little bit selfish to say, hey, look, I'm preparing myself to get ready to buy a house. I can't buy a house if I sign on for your note. And this is the thing, is that in this situation, if you did it for somebody and if you did it for somebody and co-signed for somebody, it's not to say that you can't purchase a house, because if you can show that the other person has made 12 months payments on that actual car, we can actually omit that liability. I don't have to count it against you. But anytime you come to me and you want to buy a house and the car is so brand new, you ain't even made the first payment yet. It's so brand new, you ain't even made the first payment yet. It's only been a couple of weeks. Like, didn't you know before you went down there and signed off on it that you was going to want to buy a house at that point? Like, why would you go do that? It doesn't make any sense. We need to start, like Charlamagne, we need to start handing out donkey of the days. And start handing out donkey of the days and be like, man, look, let's tell you about a donkey story that we read into this week. Because I promise you, me and you run into 4 or 5 of them every single week.
Well, and you know what's frustrating? You know what I mean? I'm just kind of come from my perspective. What's most frustrating about it is, at no point in time during our conversation that I had before I sent them to you, did they give the impression that, because we ain't even talking about the money yet, right?
Right.
They give the impression that, okay, I'm really overextended by like 100 times.
Yes.
Okay. Before they and my biggest question is, this is my question to you is, why do people, and of course we'll be speculating, of course, but why do you think people do that? Why do you think that they think everything's still roses? Because I always like to talk about, why do you think people can get cars the way they can? People can get cars. The reason why it's not that hard to go get a car, I did a video the other day that talks about bad credit. Okay. And in the video, I kind of explained, if you got bad credit, did we see people that have bad credit? You still living day to day. Yep. You still buying cars, you still doing stuff with bad credit. Right. But when it comes to buying a house, you can't have that bad. You can't have it the same way, the bad credit way it is. One, because they're giving you more money. In some cases, you're getting $250,000. I think people need to realize that a $250,000 house is not $250,000. That's $250,000 that a bank is saying, I trust you with $250,000 to pay me back. With interest on this.
And you have to understand, you're saying it's completely different than a car that's $10,000. You know, $225,000, it's no comparison to a car that's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. There's no comparison. So obviously, you're saying there's going to be a lot more checks and balances. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot of more verifying and all this other stuff. You can walk into a car dealership today. I make $50,000 a month. They're going to sign it up right there. They're going to look at your credit and they're going to be like, approved. You got the money, you got to put down. If you have to put anything down at all, approved. Well, it doesn't necessarily work like that for a house.
And this is what I'll take one step further is when our people out there going out there looking at cars, why do you think that the car dealership has 10 or 12 lenders? A lenders, B lenders, C lenders, you know what I mean?
And they're going to have every single one run your credit.
Yes.
If you got bad credit, you end up with 30 or 40 inquiries on your credit report before you end up through that process.
Because all they doing is trying to find somebody that's going to give you the deal.
That's it.
And that's how people, which I think they don't realize, well, or maybe they do, when you buy this, so it's 2021. I got bad credit and I need to go buy a new truck because my car broke down. I'm not buying a 2021. They're not gonna sell me a 2021 because most of the time they can't get it financed. Okay. They're gonna sell me a 2019, 2018, 2017. And even if they do get me into a brand new one, theoretically, I'm probably gonna get financed by a C lender or a lender that's charging me 23%. See, they pull you into the car dealership with the ad, the beautiful marketing ad with the car, and everybody's happy camping on the truck and plugging stuff in. You know what I'm saying? Out in the campsite, and then they at the end they give you the flash. We're gonna give you either $8,000 below APR, or you can get 3.9% interest for 24 months. That's not for you, the bad credit person. I mean, I think that's what they don't understand. That's not for you. That's for the person with the good credit.
They walk in there and think everybody that walks in there gets the exact same deal. Like, no, that is not the case. But I tell you this, you know what I'm saying? These dealerships, and especially your mom and pop dealerships, salivate and love to see bad credit people coming because they know they're going to make a gang of money. They're going to lose a lot of money, you know what I'm saying? Because people ain't going to pay, they're going to hand the cars back, whatever the case may be. But they are going to make a gang of money because they know if you have bad credit, you probably went to ABC top dealership or whatever. 2 or 3 of them been unapproved or denied or whatever the case may be, and you come to them and they gonna love it. They're gonna be like, okay, well look, they've been denied before. If we approve them for 40% interest rate, they're gonna say, okay, cool, as long as I can get the car, they're gonna accept it. So they love to see that because I mean, you know, you're making them so much money with what the interest rate is. It's ridiculous.
Yes. And the reason why I'm harping on this so much, you know, because some people say, man, you know, I tell people all the time, everything, man, you be talking about that credit, Walter, is because that is the foundation to all the next decisions. You know, I think about real estate on a level of how important can it be in someone's life, right?
Yep.
And why should you wait till you 40, 50 years old to buy a house? Okay. Right. When you're capable of buying one earlier, but you got to put some disciplines in place. You got to kind of get some things in order, because at some point, I don't want to say it gets too late, but at some point, it's hard to change those disciplines, right? And my question is is it that no one's out there kind of talking about this enough where people can realize? I give you my little side note on this, Core, is I'm hoping somebody see us kind of going off about this and being frustrated about it, where they sit back and think, man, is that me? Did I do that? And then saying, hey, what do I need to do to kind of take the next step? Because I know, just like let me flip it for a minute. Let me go to the second story. The second story, I talked to somebody, right?
Yep.
Same type of person, about the same age, everything. Calls me up, says, I got a house I want to sell in Northwest Houston. I bought this house in 2008. I said, great. Had the same conversation. Have you been on your job? Yes, I've been in education for the last 10 years. Okay.
Yep.
What type of money do you make? Oh, well, I've saved up some money. Okay.
Yep.
And the great thing about this is my credit is in line. You know what I mean? And I said, well, what do you mean by that? Because this is what I always say. People with good credit know what their credit is. Okay.
Yes.
And I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, last time I checked out, my middle score was a 750. And basically, I don't really have a car note anymore. I made my last payment in December. And I said, oh, so you didn't feel like, jokingly, I said, oh, you didn't feel like going to get a new car, huh? She said, no, I want to buy a house. She said, I'm ready for my next step up house. This was my first house that I owned. And now I'm ready to move into my semi-dream house, but I want something bigger, something nicer, and I want to live in a community I want to live in, right?
Yep.
So she literally in 24 hours went and picked out a new construction house that she hadn't built, okay? That they're not even questioning her because her credit's in line, her finances in line, her job history is in line, and she knows exactly where she was. Like, it wasn't a question. Our conversation was not an hour. It was about 15 minutes. And I knew exactly what she was going to do next. You know what I mean?
And look, if you're having a conversation with somebody, you can definitely tell within the first 5 minutes if they got their stuff together. You can definitely tell. And then what you said is that a person that actually has good credit or decent credit automatically knows what their stuff is, because they got a hold on it. They know their stuff. Like, hey, look, I'm watching my stuff religiously to make sure nothing pops up. If you ask somebody, hey man, you know what your credit score is? Well, I got some dings on there, but I don't know what it is. I ain't checked it in a while, that type of thing. Best believe they stuff is probably jacked up. I can probably see that. They probably jacked up. They don't probably got AT&T on there like 4 or 5 times. They got collection, they got charge-offs, they got repossession, they got all kinds of stuff. They're like, okay, I know what kind of deal it's gonna be. But then when you talk to the person, you know what I'm saying, and hey man, do you know what your credit score is? Yeah. I'm probably somewhere around the 700s or something like that. They automatically know, oh, okay, well, they got their stuff together then. They keep a hold on it.
You know what I think is interesting? I didn't mean to cut you off, but what I think is interesting is I think that a lot of people believe that having good credit is challenging. That, like they have this misconception that it's hard to have good credit. And I think we need to dispel that here in this conversation too, and get people to understand these are the main factors of credit and how you can have good credit. Now, granted, if it took you 20 years and you got 20 years of bad credit, we're going to have to do some things. You know what I mean? It might take a little bit of time. But if you ain't got a bunch of credit, a bunch of problem credit stuff on there, recovering is relatively easy. You want to hit a couple steps on that of kind of like, what's the main factors to have good credit? Like, what is it that you see in good credit people when they come to you on a loan? What's some of those things you see?
Man, it's the craziest thing that nobody ever talks about, but it all starts from the mindset. It all starts from the mindset. If you have the idea that, hey, look, you know what I'm saying, my credit is jacked up, my credit is gonna always be jacked up, and I don't care about it, then it ain't no helping you.
Yeah.
It ain't no helping, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the mindset of Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't nothing gonna stop him from being the greatest player ever, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, you gotta have the mindset first to, hey, look, man, I got to have good credit. Come hell or high water, I need to figure out what it's gonna take to get that good credit. That's gonna be the first thing. You just have to care about your credit. You have to care about paying people on time. And if people are calling you because they're trying to collect their funds, you have to care about working out something to where they don't actually put it on your credit. You have to just care. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you have to not put yourself in a position to where you're running all the way in the red all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what exactly does that mean? If you have, you know, Pro Collect calling you about a collections or whatever the case may be, and they calling you about $100 collection. If you run in the red, you just ain't got the money to pay them. So then at that point, you know what I'm saying, they're going to actually take and put the collections on your actual credit report. And it's going to completely screw you. It's going to be counterproductive to everything that you're trying to do, and as far as increasing it. So what you got to do is you have to make smart financial decisions. And sometimes when you put yourself in a hole like that, you're going to have to do a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
You might have to put some duct tape on that hoopty that you've been riding around in, and then not run out and try to go get a Lexus truck or something like that, just because you want to floss on the weekends at the club.
300 series, 300, 500 series.
I'm gonna give me a 300 series. Oh, I'm gonna hit them this weekend. I'm gonna hit them this weekend when they see my new Lexus. And then, you know what I'm saying, you go get these expensive luxury cars and stuff like that. Stuff happens to them. They break down. And when they do break down, you got to have money to fix them.
Oh, the maintenance on those. Oh, yes.
The maintenance on those is ridiculous. So the other thing, the second thing is that don't put yourself in a position where you got to run in the red. Make sound financial decisions. Make the sacrifice so that you can build your account up. So that, you know what I'm saying, if something does happen or a collections does pop up, you can at least work out a settlement or something on it to where they'll actually put it on your credit. And then the third thing is kind of goes back to the not running in the red, is making sure that you just paying everybody on time. If that TV that you got at Rent-A-Center, you don't necessarily need it, then don't go get it. Just because you got your stimulus check, don't mean you got to run out there and just buy up the world and just go ahead and spend it. Take that stimulus check, go ahead and put that in the account. I promise you, you know what I'm saying? The bank ain't gonna take it if you just leave it there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the fourth thing I would say is this: there's a lot of bad information out there about credit cards. A lot of people out there tell you, don't go get credit cards. Don't go get credit cards. Credit cards is the devil. Credit cards, all they want you to do is go into debt. Well, I can tell you this. If you want to repair your credit, there's no other way around it. You have to go get a credit card. It just is what it is. You have to go get the credit card in order to kind of help you out and improve your credit. If you go get that credit card and then you start working on hopefully trying to get some of these collections off your account, either by disputes or whatever the case may be, and then actually trying to build positive trade lines on your credit score will be there before you know it. And then it goes back to the mindset that when you're building your credit, it didn't take you 1 month to actually put your credit in the hole like that. So it ain't gonna take you 1 month to dig yourself out of the hole when it comes to credit.
Exactly.
So mentally, you have to make sure you stay consistent and then just kind of be on top of things. It ain't gonna happen in 1 month. It may not even happen in 6 months. But if you stay on top of it, eventually you will get there. Yeah. And then the feeling from having decent credit, let alone good credit, the feeling from having decent, people just talk to you different. Hey, Mr. David, good to see you.
Good to see you. How you doing? You know?
How you doing? You know what I mean?
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna take that one step further. You respond differently too, because when you got good credit, you walk in the door, you feel like your chest be stuck out. You start walking. I don't know if I want that. You know what I mean? Your whole mindset is different because you not come from, I want to say I'm trying to put it in a PC way. You don't come from the
don't chase them.
Yeah.
And you don't come from that story, what I call storytelling background.
Yeah, that's a good PC way to say.
When they ask you a question, and it can't just be a straight answer. See,
Yeah.
well, let me tell you what happened. What happened was, and then you go all the way around the corner,
Yes,
and back just to answer the question, and you really ain't answered the question to begin with.
Yes.
So when you got decent credit, you know what I'm saying, you can tell them straight like it is. Oh man, you know what I'm saying, I'm top tier credit. You ain't got to worry about that. Let's just talk about, you know what I'm saying, these numbers. So what can you do for me on this deal?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I tell you, when I go buy a car, you know, I just bought one recently. I went in and said, "Hey, y'all."
But you got your, hold on. But you got your house first, though. You got your house.
Yes, I got my house first.
You doing it right, okay?
And I'm gonna tell you something. In all reality, I get it. I get, you know, when I was younger, you know, it was a different time when I was younger. You know, you come out of college, they giving you credit cards. You know, they kind of pushed that down a little bit. But I walked out of college, I had $15,000 in credit on credit cards and didn't have a job. That was what they just sent to me because I had just recently turned 21. You know what I'm saying? They don't do that anymore. A lot of times people get themselves in trouble by just not paying stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know, I think that, so I understand what it's like to have challenged credit in the beginning, right?
Yep.
But once you fix it, once you get it in line, because I'll tell you what, I don't walk in anywhere without getting a deal. Like, you're gonna give me a deal because I don't have to buy it here. I can go buy it over here and get a better deal. And that's the power that people don't realize that credit gives them, is that when I walked into my dealership and talked to them, I said, look at here, y'all doing 1.9% interest on cars right now. I need to know if you're gonna give it to me or not, and I want the car at this price. You see what I'm saying? And they want, the reason why they want you, and this is what they also got to understand, y'all got to understand out there, people, is the reason why they want you is if you got good credit and you make good financial decisions and you got money that just comes from your financial decisions, you are a lifelong customer to them. So they want to keep selling to you over time, that because they know you can come back. If they treat you right, they're gonna come back. I don't know if you noticed, you go to a car dealership, but a bad credit person, I don't mean to laugh about it, but a bad credit person and a person with good credit have two different experiences. Completely. You know, and I'm trying to get people to understand that, aren't you tired of having that bad credit experience? Like, are you ready for the good credit experience? But it starts with you. You know what I mean? It starts with, like you said, changing your mindset. And I would take one step further in what you said. If I done dug myself in this hole, I got to come up with two plans. Okay. The first plan is, how am I going to fix all this bad stuff that's on my report? And then the second plan is, how am I going to live day to day and continue to do good habits and be consistent, like you said, paying my car note on time, not 10 days later, not 31 days later. It's due on the 1st, you paid it on the 29th, or you cut the check already, put the bank on automatic. It just cuts the check. You don't even worry about it. But I think that comes down to those extra stuff that people do, you know, eating out, going to the club. You got to bring that down, because that's all money that's really extra. Like, if you got, like, I'm not going to go on a vacation unless I budget it and it's saved up where I know it's paid for. I'm not even buying a ticket until I got the money to pay for it in the bank. But that's because I've created the habit now.
The habit. Right.
And that's just the way I look at things. I mean, I'll take it one more step further and say, you know, I got a business, we run businesses, right? I got a business P&L, I got a personal family P&L that I go through, and I'm looking at like, okay, our numbers look good this month. Keep it going. because, and I know that's next level for some people. Like some of the people that we're talking to in this conversation, you ain't there yet to do a personal P&L, right?
Right.
But if you can just start the habits, and if you can just reach out and start talking to the right person, that's going. You can't talk to you. The thing I think is funny is bad credit people call other bad credit people and ask their opinion.
And ask advice. Yeah, there you go.
And they tell, oh no, you better not do that. And you sitting there like, but they got bad credit. They don't know what to do. You got to call somebody or work with somebody that is in a good position, that understands what's going on and how to keep it going. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to cycle. I mean, am I wrong with thinking that way?
No, you're 100% right. 100% right. And then this is the thing is that back then it was a lot more harder to have maybe a circle around you of people that actually knew finance and people that actually knew what they were talking about, right? So you know what I'm saying? You may have been in a low economical situation to where, you know what I'm saying, everybody around you has always struggled, has always had bad credit, whatever the case may be. But now you have no excuses because there's so many platforms and so many things out there. Facebook by itself has so many personal financial groups that you can join and you can talk to other people about what you need to do to get yourself out of the situation that you're in. Credit, personal finance, car tips, car dealership tips. Yep. I mean, you think of it, I promise you there's a group for it on Facebook. And then there's Facebook, there's meetup.com, there's tons of other avenues out there. So there's no excuse for you to be like, well, nobody in my circle has good credit, so I don't know what to do. I don't know who to talk to. And these are easy apps that you can download to your phone and be able to do it. But then I'll take it, as you say, another step further, is that when we talk about the mindset of people, a lot of times it's a little bit of ingrained in them from young age, right? So you know what I'm saying? It's not so easy just to be like, hey man, just pay everybody on time. You know, just like it's not as easy to tell a person that's on a diet, man, just get that salad instead of that double cheeseburger. It ain't always that easy because mentally, you know what I'm saying, they got to be able to process and understand and have the, have the kind of the integrity within themselves to actually be able to do what they know is right. So I say that to say this is that sometimes, people go see therapy just for like, regular everyday issues, therapists for regular everyday issues. In some situations, you might want to go see a therapist to talk about your financial situation. And then because it all starts in the mind, and then that's where the therapist is the doctor that's going to help you kind of retrain your mind to where now you're not just like, hey, look, my grandma had bad credit. My dad had bad credit. My mom had bad credit. So it's okay for me to have bad credit. Like that's ingrained in their head as a young child. So sometimes it may take professional help in order to get out of that. But it just takes you, you know what I'm saying, having the mindset like, hey, look, I want to do better. I want to do better than what the people before me had. And then, you know what I'm saying, change your mindset, and then it makes it easier at that point.
Or even take it like you just said, even if it's not doing better than people, you got kids now, or you got people around you that depend on you, or even if it's just for yourself. I want to do better for myself. I want to do better for my kids. Because either you break the cycle or you continue the cycle. That's the only two things you can do. You can either break the cycle and start to have better credit so that your kids learn how to be financially sound and work better with their money and then their grandkids and so on and so forth. Or you continue to have bad credit and show them it's okay to have bad credit and not get the benefits of all the things that's out there. And I like to always say it's kind of like when I was trying to lose weight, right? Because I'm not a big salad fan, but I've grown to enjoy them more. I've learned what happened is I had to educate myself on salad, right? And I had to educate what can I put in it that might be more appealing for me, that would allow me to eat all that lettuce or spinach or whatever it is in there. And then over time, I actually started to enjoy it. I'll be in there now, I'll be like, oh, give me a wrap with you got any kale? You know what I mean? I'll be eating all kind of stuff now. But I say all that to say this is that sometimes it's just a step, right? I had to eat salad and put it in my mind. Okay, I'm gonna eat twice a week. 2 of my lunches is gonna be salad.
Right.
And then I did that for a week or two. Then I said, okay, I'm gonna move it to 3.
Yep.
Then I think, okay, I'm gonna have 4 salads a week, you know. And by the time I got to that 4th week, you know, 4th, 5th week, I had to start educating myself because I was like, this salad tastes the same. Ain't no variety in this lettuce here. But it prompted me. I had started the behavior of eating the salad, but then I had to create the additional fact to make it more enjoyable for me, right?
Right.
But then eventually I said, okay, I'm eating these salads. Well, I want to lose a little bit more weight. Let me go ahead and go on a walk once a day. Oh, let me go on a walk twice a day. You see what I'm saying? I believe it's the same thing with finances. You're not gonna eat the whole rock, the boulder or the mountain in one shot. Sometimes you got to start little in order to start the behavior. But you also got to understand the mindset that it's going to take longer because you're starting with the smaller piece.
Of course.
To get going. So maybe you say, okay, my number one goal is to make 12 payments on time on my car note. Okay. Every month I'm going to pay on the 29th my car note. And this bill, you find one of them bills on your credit, let's say that you need to pay off because you know it's legit and it's for real.
Right.
Say, I'm going to pay $50 every month on this bill until it goes away. And it might just be as simple as that in some cases, right? Especially for people that don't got a lot of stuff on the credit, right? But I think the biggest thing is you gotta start somewhere. And if you don't start, you can't expect overnight, oh, now I feel like buying a house because they're saying that this is the best time to buy houses and the interest rates are all-time lows. I think I should buy a house. Well, no, you can't buy a house now.
Which that brings up a good point is because, you know what I'm saying, you know, as the cliche goes, you know what I'm saying, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, right?
Yes, right.
So if you have your credit and you have your financial house in order, when you run into that guy at the job that just, man, he just strapped, he just got to hurry up. He trying to give his car away for a song. You know what I mean? Just because he got to hurry up and try to get an influx of cash. If you ready, you'll automatically take advantage of that actual deal. Or, you know what I'm saying, you got somebody trying to sell some real estate. Somebody died, they inherited some money, they need some money fast. You'll be able to go ahead and jump on it and take care of it. But if you're not in a position where you can take care of it, guess what you got to do? Man, let me see if I know somebody that can help you out. You know, they gonna make a ton of money on this one, man. I'm gonna see if they can slide me a little something, you know, if I turn them on to it. But you're not able to get the big chunk of money yourself.
Oh,
so that was a great point that you had on that one.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, I ain't gonna keep you too much longer. You know, I know we can talk about this all day long. We can just sit here and talk about different episodes of stuff that done happened. And the one point that I would want to make is that I love the fact that you said if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? And the point I would like to make is that real estate is a foundational piece. Is that if you look at people that have made money over time, for those of y'all out there that's thinking, man, I really want to be in a better position. I really want to be, I really want to make more money, any of that stuff. Well, a lot of that starts with you owning your own house. Because that's a permanent, well, not a permanent, but a long-term savings plan, as my boy Corey like to say. I like to say that it's an appreciable asset. That goes up every year. Every year that obtains more value. So over time, not only are you saving money, but you're gaining value. So it always starts there. And then the next step beyond that is, I say it's always hard to go. If you can get through the first one, it's a lot easier to get the second, third, and fourth one. right?
Right.
And what I
Right.
mean by that is now you can go in and invest in real estate, invest
Yep.
in land, invest in apartments, and start to get some income from your real estate investments. That way, you're not sitting there having to go to the 9 to 5 or the 12 to 12 job every
Yep.
single day, and you got more choices and more options in life. So
Of course.
that's the big thing I would say that I kind of would like to leave for everybody. What you got for them, Cor?
It only makes sense to actually purchase a house, and there's multiple different ways that the house is actually going to help you build wealth. Let's just talk about the bare minimum, like you said, the foundation of it is that every month that you make a payment, essentially they're taking a portion of that payment and they're depositing it inside a savings account, deposit inside a savings account. So even if you have the worst of spending habits, it's not like you can go to your front door at your house and say, hey, you have $50,000 of equity in you. You know what I'm saying? I need to get $10,000. So I want to, because I want to go buy this Benz.
Yep.
It's not that easy to pull the equity out. So for those of you that are not disciplined, you know what I'm saying, it helps you. It's kind of like a 401k. When you put that money in, you're not necessarily going to be able to take that money out in some cases, but you're not supposed to, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, it's not so easy to take that money out as if it was in your checking and savings account. You have to pay to live somewhere. Just that alone, just that little bit alone, not taking into appreciation, not taking into other things that you get with the house that you get back. Just that part alone makes buying a house sooner rather than later worth it at the end of the day. And just imagine you're in a house 10 years and all of a sudden you're able to do a cash out refi, or you're able to sell the property or whatever case may be. And then you make $100,000 on the sale of that house. Like how else would you be able to do anything like that? You wouldn't be able to save $100,000 in for some people in a lifespan. The same way that you can actually get it inside a home. It's like it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like even if you think about the older people that are retired, if you just talk to older people that are retired, they'll tell you in some cases, you know what I'm saying, they have so much equity within their home. At any given time, if they want to, they can do a cash out, or they can sell the home and do whatever they want to with it. And that's a nice nest egg that they have, to go and do whatever it is that they want to with it. So I say this, go purchase a home, get your stuff together, and then get ready to go purchase a home, and then and set yourself up, set your kids up, period.
Hey, one quick last note. Now, it's funny you said $100,000. That client I was talking about, she gonna make roughly $150,000 off the sale of this house.
Yep.
You know how long she had it?
How long?
Most people say, oh, she must have had it 30 years. She bought it in 2010. She's had the house 10 years, and she's about to make $150,000 when we sell this house, which is gonna go like crazy. What could people out there, what could y'all do with $150,000? She's not gonna
$150,000.
She's just putting in the bank that she can just do whatever she wants with. And that's just after 10 years. Most people can't even save in 10 years. They can't save $150,000. She's about to put $150,000 in her bank account in a month, within 30 days, 45 days. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand, is that fix the credit so that we can get you to start being able to make moves like this at a high level. You know what I mean?
And I tell you this, I had a client that purchased a house here, must have been about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and then he ended up refinancing at the end of last year. And when I tell you he refied and his appraisal came back so high, he was actually able to get the 20% equity within his home and actually drop his mortgage insurance within a year and a half.
Wow.
Like can you believe that? That's crazy. 20% equity within a year and a half. Yeah. And that just shows you how, I mean, if he chose to sell the property, he would have made, I don't know, $60,000, $70,000 or whatever the case may be in a year and a half. And then this is the thing that we're talking about. That's only talking about your primary residence. Like imagine you got your primary residence and then you start investing in real estate. Yes. Imagine that concept. Imagine you got investment properties now that you're doing that with. Yep. Like That's crazy. Real estate is responsible for the most millionaires in the world, and that's hands down.
Yep.
Hands down. So it's time to realize the power of real estate, man, and jump in.
Yes.
And stop wasting time.
Stop wasting time. Hey man, as always, you know, I love having these talks. I look forward to these talks every week. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, as always, thank everybody for listening in and watching a real estate guy, realtor, and a mortgage guy talking real talk. You know, come tune in next week and we'll talk about some more exciting topics that's going on.
Talk about some more stuff. And then, by the way, real men wear pink.
Look, I was thinking that was carnation, but I wasn't going to go there. Hey, man, you have a good rest of the day, man. I'll holler at you next week.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right, boss.
Later.
There you go. While you on mute.
All right. How that sound?
Oh, there you go. There you go. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's going on?
Man, we out here putting in this work, man. Putting in this work.
That's it. The hustle and the grind is
my
real.
reminder hit me and said, "Oh, you got a real talk with a realtor and a mortgage guy." I said, "Oh yeah, you got that."
Yeah, we gotta get this thing rolling.